The human consequences of Trump's mass deportation plans are coming into sharper focus. Gothamist reports that after the administration terminated contracts that fund attorneys and legal services for unaccompanied children, shelters across New York have begun seeing migrant kids sitting in front of computer and TV screens, appearing virtually in court proceedings without parents or legal representation. That included a 7-year-old boy wearing a shirt emblazoned with a pizza cartoon who spun a toy windmill while the judge spoke. There was an 8-year-old girl and her 4-year-old sister in a tie-dye shirt who squeezed a pink plushie toy and stuffed it into her sleeve. None of the children were accompanied by parents or attorneys, as the judge presiding tells them the reason we're here is because the government of the United States wants you to leave. This, of course, follows a judge granting the DOJ an extension and deportation case of Kilmar Abrego Garcia, the Maryland man who was sent to El Salvador as part of an administrative error the administration is not working to fix. Something that apparently wasn't an isolated incident, with NBC News reporting of another Venezuelan, this time a 20-year-old migrant, also being mistakenly deported. Joining me now, attorney Chris Newman, who's representing the family of Kilmar Abrego Garcia, and NBC News correspondent David Noriega, who joins us from San Salvador. Chris, what is the update? What can you tell us in the case of Abrego Garcia?
Well, first off, thanks for having me on the show. I was just in El Salvador 2 days ago, accompanying the 4 Congress people who went down to fight for Mr. Abrego Garcia's rights. And unfortunately, I'm sad to report that we have no new news. The last, in fact, that we do know about Kilmar is what we learned from Senator Van Hollen on Thursday of last week, when the president brought him to the hotel for that staged photo op. The good news is that we at least learned that as of Thursday of last week, Kilmar was alive and his health was okay. Unfortunately, he still has not yet had access to counsel or access to his family, as is required by international law.
And do you have a sense of what that is going to require, the fight to get this man due process?
I think it's going to require a lot more congressional delegations following the lead of Senator Van Hollen and going down and demanding access and attention. It's clear that the Trump administration is trying to litigate this case in the court of opinion using their propaganda outlets and engaging in essentially a campaign of defamation. Unfortunately, Kilmar is essentially in what amounts to sort of a black site in El Salvador. Like, tens of thousands of other Salvadorans, his family doesn't know where he is, how he's doing, and they have no access to him. So he's in the position that tens of thousands of Salvadorans are in. And I think to the extent that there's a silver lining in this urgent human rights crisis, it is that there is attention being focused on the lawlessness in El Salvador. And my hope is that other senators and more congressional representatives will follow the lead of Congressman Garcia, Congressman West, and Senator Van Hollen, and others.
So, David, let's talk about those human rights violations. I want to take a look at scenes from outside La Esperanza, an infamous Salvadoran prison. You visited there, I believe, yesterday. What can you tell us about your reporting there, David?
Alicia, the crucial thing to understand about the prison system in El Salvador is that it exists in this context. About 3 years ago, President Bukele declared a state of emergency, suspending basic constitutional protections like the right to due process, the presumption of innocence. The people who are in Salvadoran prisons across the prison system are cut off completely from access to loved ones, access to counsel, access to the outside world. And there are the conditions in those prisons. When we visited La Esperanza, also known as Mariona, one of the first things that I noticed was that loved ones of prisoners were outside the facility buying things for their loved ones inside that you would think the prison would provide to them. Basic things like toilet paper, even the clothing that they wear in the prison. If they needed new or clean clothing, their families had to buy it for them. One of the most popular items that gets bought for prisoners inside is protein powder, like a protein shake, which is used to supplement the meager food that they receive on the inside. Human rights groups have documented numerous deaths due to severe malnutrition, as well as many other factors. I've heard reports of extremely minimal medical attention, severe overcrowding. systematic torture. The list goes on, Alicia. Now, I should say the Bukele administration has acknowledged at times that some innocent people have wound up in prison due to his state of exception and crackdown, although he says that he has released thousands and is going to release all of them. Human rights groups here dispute that. They say many are still on the inside. And like the deportees from the United States, have virtually no recourse, no way of appealing their situation, Alicia.
David, just to put a finer point on that, I want to play a part of your interview with someone who described what it is like inside these prisons.
To sleep on the floor, we slept like boxed bread on our sides because we couldn't all fit on the floor. It was horrible. The guards would come in and yell at us that we were trash, rats who were being left to die. And they didn't even allow us any religion. Nothing. We didn't even look at the sun. I remember they sealed the only window there so we couldn't see through to the other side. We were like a concentration camp, like the Nazis. That's how we consider ourselves.